Here is an account of Centenary University's unique history and the progression of its overall student life throughout the years, assembled by Michaela Bennett and Taryn Hardy. Centenary University was founded in 1867, and since then it has gradually expanded its campus amenities and, as a result, its student population. The first dorms were a part of the original school building. They stood for 32 years before they burned down on Halloween night in 1899, along with most of the building. Fortunately, no one was actually hurt in the fire, and reconstruction was finished just 2 years later in 1901. For its reconstruction, the new buildings were collectively named the Say Building. The new building was constructed separately from its dormitories as a safety measure in the case of another fire. The individual buildings, however, have since been reconnected for ease of access. Following the fire, students lived with local families in Haiduc-Dale and attended classes in the church down the street as the school was being rebuilt. In 1902, Centenary was faced with an additional challenge. Haiduc-Dale was hit by a smallpox outbreak, and students were told to stay home. It was 6 weeks later that students were finally allowed to return, but many decided not to. This decrease in attendance produced a significant financial stress on the school and was one of Centenary's hardest struggles to date. A fun fact, the architect hired for the construction of the new building was Oscar Teal. He was a close friend of Harry Houdini. Teal designed Houdini's memorial, and if you compare the two structures, you can see the similarities between them. Lott Hall was the next dorm to be built in 1949. It was named in honor of Charles E. Lott, then the president of the Board of Trustees and a generous benefactor to Centenary. The next dorm to be built was Van Winkle Hall in 1951. It was dedicated to Mr. and Mrs. Van Winkle, as Charles Van Winkle was the president of the school's Board of Trustees since 1942. It cost $200,000. That's approximately $2,182,430 in 2022, and it housed 48 students upon its opening. While Centenary's first semester as a co-ed school saw only 8 men among 480 women, those numbers began to grow quickly, and in 1989, Van Winkle Hall became the first co-ed dorm on campus and housed 40 students on its all-male floor. Brotherton Hall came next in 1956 and shared the same architect as Van Winkle, Fred J. Brotherton. Brotherton Hall originally held the Centenary Nursery School, which started in 1936 and was in continuous operation up until 1999, when it was closed to make space for additional classrooms and offices to accommodate the increasing student population. While Brotherton Hall no longer operates as a dorm, it still houses faculty offices and some classrooms. In 1963, Washabout Hall was constructed, and its exterior was designed to match the library and the Reeves Gym buildings, each newly renovated and constructed. A few years later, in 1965, Anderson Hall was completed as part of a $1,655,000 building project. It was named for Dr. Hurst Robbins, who was the president of Centenary Junior College from 1943 until 1948. The building became co-ed in 1990 with some mixed but ultimately positive reactions. Founders Hall was the last dorm to be built, and it was completed in 2006. It was named in honor of the 10 original donors to the school. These 10 founders each donated 10 acres of land and $10,000 to establish the school in Haiduc-Dale, New Jersey. The dormitories at Centenary University have seen generations of students pass, bringing their own campus customs through with them. From the salamander celebrations that ended when the male students left the school to the May Day festivities held in the springtime, and from the dorm decorating parties and contests from Centenary's time as a women's college, as well as to the various sororities, fraternities, and societies that have called Centenary home, and even the wide assortment of clubs such as the Aquatic Club, the Cosmopolitan Club, and the Eating Clubs, of which there were several, to the sports of then and now. Centenary dorms have seen it all. While some of the later built dorms don't have quite as much major historical significance as their elder predecessors might, and little information to be found since their initial construction and openings, that's nothing that time can't help. Time and the continued experiences by students and faculty alike here at Centenary University. Student-run publications such as The Quill and Spilled Ink has preserved the histories of these buildings and their occupants beautifully, and present works such as Prism will continue to uphold that legacy for future cyclones to enjoy.